Today on Parts Hold, we are going to talk about the 5 sins of parts managers in the parts department. This is a great episode. You're going to want to have a pen and paper with you. You're probably going to do a little bit of reflection to see if maybe you're committing one of these sins. We're also going to talk about one of the previous episodes that we did and some of the feedback that we're getting. And finally, we're going to learn why Cliff is afraid of heights. That and so much more coming up today on Parts Hold. Cliff, how the heck are you?
Man, I am fantastic. I'm sitting at home, so it's kind of like a little sanctuary. My pictures, I've got this new little addition. Can you see right where my finger is? It's like this little palm tree. So it gives kind of the beach scene going on. So, man, I can't be happier.
So what you're saying is a 3-inch palm tree makes you feel like you're at the beach?
Well, it's not technically 3-inch, but yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. I also I kind of like that you have that picture in your background of all those dudes sitting out on the ledge when they're building a skyscraper in 1930. And what would it take for you to be that guy? One of those guys that goes out there?
So there probably was a time in my life that I would say that it wouldn't have taken much. But recently, and I say recently, it's been a couple of years, I have a little ledge that goes over our out of our kitchen that's got shingles and that sort of thing.
So roughly 6 feet off the ground?
Roughly, yes. But I was cleaning that area and, cleaning the siding. And, man, I got really nervous standing up there. And it was the most bizarre thing that I've ever experienced because normally I wasn't scared of heights. And I don't know if it's as I've gotten older, celebrated a birthday a few months back, so I don't know. It was really weird. So to sit out on that ledge like they did, this is actually the Rockefeller Center picture, is wild to me. No safety harness, no nothing.
Yeah, that's... I think I remember reading a statistic that was like, on average, 6 or 7 people died every time there was a skyscraper built. Like they just built it into the risk. So they've gotten a little bit better at the safety measures since. I also thinking about the heights thing. I'm reminded of a story. So from a really, really young age, I remember my dad was that guy that like, the reason that he had children was because he looked at me as manual labor, and like I was like the freedom for him. And I didn't find this out till way older, but literally like 7 or 8 years old, I was always the one that when the house needed to be painted and it was a 2-story house and we had this huge extension ladder, I never made the connection that I was always the one that went up the ladder and painted the top of the house. Only like, I think I was like 19 or 20 when I found this out, that my dad is afraid of heights.
Oh, that's hilarious. And so he would send you up to do that?
So he sends little 8-year-old Christian up the ladder to do the painting. And the truth was at the matter, like, so I wasn't really a good painter when I was 8 or 9, but when you're talking about the top of the 2-story house, it doesn't matter. So I actually think my father's a genius for that. That was so smart. But like, I feel like from the time that I was 8 or 9, that dude never climbed a ladder. He never mowed a lawn. The only thing he did like to do, which I think this is kind of a guy thing in itself, he loved snow blowers. Like there's I'm sorry, you're from the South. You have no clue what I'm talking about. So there's this machine, Cliff, that when it snows in large amounts, it's like a lawnmower, but it shoots snow instead of grass. And
I can get into that.
Yeah. So, and it shoots the snow like, 15, 20 feet in the air. And my dad loved to do that part of it. And he loved how clean the driveway was when he had snow blow it. And I swear, like, you could put like a tape measure and he was completely right on. Whereas like if I were to do it, it would be kind of, wonky and it wouldn't be even. So that was like that one job that he never let go of. But yeah, my father procreated so that he didn't have to work as hard.
So my grandfather's brother, whom I wouldn't say close with, but as I got older, was able to hang out with him a little bit more. But he built a 2-story house, and you just made me think about it. He stuck his wife in a harness to put the siding and hang the siding up on it, which is hilarious to me that he would talk her into doing that. Like, that's wild to me.
It's the same thing. I bet he's afraid of heights.
It's so fascinating. But yeah, I mean, I guess when it's 2 stories, you're right. It doesn't matter what the paint looks like. And
because nobody's getting up there to inspect it, right?
And if you're cutting the grass as a 8-10-year-old, he doesn't care, right? I mean, no. He's just glad that he doesn't have to do it.
That all he remembers. You know what's funny is that, like, he didn't drink, but I totally would see that would be a guy that would sit back on a lawn chair and drink a beer and watch me do all that work. But
absolutely,
it's so funny. Yeah, and I was gonna ask how your cat was, but I don't care. And then I was also going to ask, you gotten any feedback? So on our last episode, we had Cliff's brother, Matt, who I think is awesome. And there are so many things. I would say that hands down, that was probably the funnest episode to film. I got a little bit of insight into like kind of who Cliff is as a person before we started filming. But the truth is they're very different people, and it was so fun to listen to Matt. And you know, a lot of people have reached out to me and said, "Hey, you got to have that guy on again." What have you heard on your side? How is Matt, by the way?
He's fantastic. So the same thing that I've got as far as feedback goes. A ton of people saying, "Hey, he's hilarious. He's awesome. Bring him back. Great insights." Just that was a really fun episode in and of itself. Just to have a little bit of would that be tongue in cheek? That wouldn't be tongue in cheek. That'd just be having fun about the business.
Yeah,
he's very self-conscious, and you're well aware. I think that's something you told me early on, was that when you watch yourself, it's painful. And you're well aware of it. So when I've spoke to him about it, he's like, "Oh, you know, I do this little thing or that." You know, you pick out all the things that you find wrong with yourself.
For sure, your own worst critic.
Yeah, he loved it. He loved every second of it. Yeah, for sure, he would do it again.
Yeah, he's gonna have to come back and visit us sometime. So that was a lot of fun. Obviously, too, we've got tomorrow, one of my favorite holidays coming up. I believe that the entire world thinks this is the most important holiday, and that is Groundhog's Day.
Oh.
So what have you been doing to prep for Groundhog's Day, Cliff?
Well, so that kind of caught me off guard right there. That was a good one. Not really sure what I'd done to prep for that, other than maybe prepare the same clothes, because I think of Groundhog Day like the movie, where it just automatically repeat the same thing over and over and over again. So maybe that's what I'm going to make sure that I do is, you know.
You do realize you and I wear the same clothes every day.
I know. So somebody asked me when I was at a store recently, they were like, "You wore the same thing yesterday." And I was like, technically, no, I did not wear the exact same thing, but I did wear the same clothes, and it's just easier to pack. If I can buy 5 of the same thing or 5 of the same pairs of pants or shirts, it makes it really easy to pack.
Yeah, our closets look really funny. Right?
Don't want the black shirt. No, the black shirt.
Would you like the black shirt with the blue writing, or the blue writing with the black shirt?
Right. Or do I want to go with black pants? Should I do black socks with my black pants and black shoes?
Oh yeah, there's a little. Sometimes there's a shoe variance there, but yeah.
Maybe I should bring back. I'll bring back the look from the '50s: white socks, black shoes, black pants.
Oh yeah, like an Elvis look, right? Aren't you on a big Elvis kick? Like you like that song from the movie?
Huge Elvis kick from the movie. The soundtrack, I think, is great. Actually, you know what's funny is there was a couple episodes of SDR a few months back where Chris talked about, you know, playing different songs. Mm-hmm. And there was a song that he was playing that was wild. And so he said that he tries to make himself listen to different songs to try to get that...
Yes, he's got a super eclectic music taste and collection, but but he does a really good job of not judging till he listens to it.
So that's what I want to learn. That portion of it. It's not the Elvis soundtrack from the movie. Elvis songs are my cup of tea, but the soundtrack is not normally something that I would listen to. But I'm trying it. I'm going to continue to try it and see if I can get that portion of it out of me. That judging the music before I give it an opportunity. But yes, I'm very, very big on that song.
That's a pretty good lesson. Yeah. So the song we're talking about is it's Eminem and CeeLo Green together, and it's got some samples of Elvis music in there. So like Jailhouse Rock, I think, is playing in the background. But it's a really, really cool. It's got a really, really cool feel to it. So that's a lot of fun. But you didn't come here to listen to mine and Cliff's musical taste. You didn't really come to hear about his cat. But you did probably come here for Groundhog's Day. Totally get that. But we have a list today, right? Aren't we going over a list?
Absolutely. I think this is going to be an interesting list because I think if people are to listen to it and pay attention to it, while there's some humor in it, there's a lot of truth to this list.
Oh, and you think it's going to make people kind of take the look inside and be like, okay, so here's this list. How many of these things am I doing, kind of thing?
I think it's going to help them with their success of their department moving into 2023.
Okay, I like it. All right, well, what's the list?
The list is the 5 sins of a parts department.
So these are sins. They're not deadly. They're just sins. Continue on, sir.
Yes. So 5 sins of a parts department. And again, just before you roll your eyes and want to turn it off or whatever, maybe do some self-evaluation.
Are you talking about me rolling my eyes? Because one of the things I really like about these HD cameras is that you can catch me rolling my eyes. It's super awesome. So just pay attention, kids. Continue on.
That's good insight. Okay, do you want to jump into the list? Are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready. Oh, I have my pen. I've got little notes.
Can't Get Right, Randy. That's number 1. It's the counter person that can't seem to get the part right. He has the technician even look at the screen. He has everything pointed there, and he still can't get the right part.
Okay, so Can't Get Right Randy has like his own section of the parts room dedicated to the obsolescence because of his errors.
Yeah, I don't know in your experience, and I'm thinking back to several people, and maybe with this list to some level, I've looked back on what I feel as the shortcomings of my career, and this is one of them where I had a guy that I loved. Great person.
Was his name Randy?
His name was not Randy.
Mm-hmm.
There is no association with Randy. We could change it to Roy or Raymond or whoever we wanted to. But it's that person that you love as an individual. He comes to work. He shows up on time. He does everything he's supposed to do in concerning to being a good employee, but he just can't get the right part. And so other employees seem to like him, but they don't ever want to go to him to get the part right.
Yeah, so maybe that guy needs to be the driver.
That's right. Maybe he repurpose him into a better place because he's a good employee, but he just can't look up parts.
Randy the Road Warrior.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So a sin, the sin, not deadly, but regular, the sin is keeping Can't Get Right Randy on the counter.
Yes.
Understood. Give me another sin.
Number 2, the corner bar.
You do know that most people, when they do these lists, they go like number 5, number 4, but like this is the 3rd or 4th list that you've done that you start with number 1 and then go to 5.
I thought about doing this thing where I was going to flip it up and do like B.
Yeah, then Roman numeral 3.
Yeah, like completely change it up.
Capital E.
but the corner bar becomes a real thing for your staff.
So is that like the coffee clutch for the counter?
It's cheers. Everybody comes to hang out. Everybody sits up.
Everybody knows your name.
Yep. If you have stools at your counter, get rid of them. Because they're talking about how much they hate their kids, their wife's annoying, or they hate their wife and their kids are annoying, whatever. And the game was terrible. They're not watching this sport anymore. They're upset at whatever. The race didn't go as planned. Everything that happens on the weekend gets dumped there. And you create that space, I think, or I created that space by giving them a purpose to be there. When you're asking Cliff Clavin how things are going.
Because Cliff's not giving you any good answer, right?
And you're not selling parts in the end. That's the way I look at it. If they're hanging out at the corner bar, they're not selling parts.
I always like Norm.
You like Norm more than Cliff?
Yeah. Cliff was pretty badass, but yeah, for the most part, I think Norm was my guy. Maybe because we have similar statures and build.
How do you feel? Did you experience that when you were in a store?
Oh, everyone catching this? Cliff wants to talk about work. So I definitely noted the stools is actually what hit me. And I feel like somebody went through, I don't know who it was, somebody got rid of the stools. And it was always so funny that the stools were on the wrong side of the counter. They were on the tech side, not on the counterman side. And then somebody went through and they did a mass exodus of those stools. That's so funny. So I didn't really think about that until you said it. But I don't know. That's a really funny thing. Like, counter guys are just fun to talk to. They usually just by nature, they've got all the good gossip in the dealership too.
So I have to be honest, I do like the stools on the retail side.
For the customer to sit in, right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool for the guys to come in and hang out and discuss things. But I don't know. Selfishly, as a parts manager, I wanted the technician turning wrenches and selling me parts.
I always think that's the best thing a parts manager can do when they're thinking about technicians. That's a revenue generator, Mr. Parts Manager, or Ms. Parts Manager, Mrs. Parts Manager.
Yes.
Any of the above. Technician is a revenue generator. That's a great way to look at a tech.
They're putting the parts on.
So as the manager, and you have the corner bar, your recommendation is to clear the bar out, close it up, take the neon sign down.
Close the tab.
Close the tab. I like it. Good stuff. You got another one?
Okay. Yeah, number 3 is clutter at the counter. Recently, a lot of the stores I've been going in, I've been kind of paying attention to, and then again, thinking back onto my career, we create some of those distractions. So removing those distractions are key. I don't even keep anything on my desk here at my home office, but I do remember and have seen a lot of counter people keeping like little cars and stuff like that at the counter. And it becomes a distraction for the technicians that they're up there playing with that. And old Cant Get Right Randy, starts telling them all the things about Hot Wheels.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that stinks. You got fidget spinners up there. Randy's actually got a roulette wheel going. Yeah. So what do? You just have a rule of like nothing, desk has to be clear at all times? You do like a white glove thing? That's kind of fun.
I don't think that there's any reason to have anything at the back counter. I would love to maybe hear some reasonings to have something at the back counter. But I think even sometimes, you get those pads from some of the aftermarket places that have like, the quick struts on them and displays of that. The technicians don't really care about that stuff.
No, I feel like that's front counter stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but we often put it at the back counter.
I see what you're saying.
And, again, I've seen a lot here recently at the stores I've gone to where they're putting little Hot Wheels cars up there and that sort of thing. And even, and I get it, the stress balls, that becomes a distraction too.
I can see where that would be an issue.
And if the technician's really squishing it, probably need to look at number 1.
Because it's because of Randy. I like Randy's permeated into other numbers.
Do you know how many messages we're going to get on Randy?
Poor Randy. Sorry, Randy. All right.
Next up on the list is wrong part count.
What is this, number 4?
Yes, number 4.
Wrong part count.
If you're not doing perpetual inventories, you're rest assured you're going to have wrong part count. Technician comes to get the part, or wholesale customer or retail customer, and it is super embarrassing to walk back up there empty-handed, not having anything in your hand because you have a wrong part count. Like, that's the worst. It's the worst feeling.
I've told you my biggest pet peeve when it comes to that stuff.
No, what is that?
Oh, one rotor.
I will defend parts managers to the end on that, and I think they would agree with me. If you're not really in those new automatic replenishing systems, that can get you on there. But you've got to be really, really on top of your inventory to go pay attention to per job count.
Well, what would be a reason not to pay attention?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're on a automatic replenishing order, and this goes into a whole nother debate, but if you're on
a different episode, if you will,
it goes into that. But if you're on an automatic replenishing order and it's looking at the inventory, it's not looking at that item, it's just looking at the sales history. So I understand the frustration on a service side of it. I get it, but from a parts manager standpoint, there are times that does happen.
Okay. As a service advisor or service manager, it was a little frustrating. Maybe there's good reasons for it.
Well, I'm not here to be an advocate of good reasoning. I'm just telling you that in defense of parts managers, it could happen pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay, so now this last one, is this the most important sin? Or do you not have them ranked in any particular order?
I don't have them ranked in any particular order. I will tell you that this last one is the single most frustrating one from a customer.
Okay. More frustrating than Randy?
Yes, probably so.
Randy's probably participating in it, though, isn't he?
Because Randy's probably doing it, but Randy's a good guy that we really, really like. And this is going to change that. Hey, before you go any further, can you check out the fresh fade?
Oh, it's shorter on one side, but it looks great.
That it is.
You look young.
Oh, man, I don't feel it. I'm definitely, some days I'm feeling older than others.
Yeah. What, you know what really makes you look old?
No.
That scum stash that you used to have. You remember that thing?
I'm thinking about bringing it back.
Yeah. There's got to be at least one other person in the world that thinks that's a good idea.
Coming up in a couple months, I have a really, really important date in my life. And I think the young lady who also shares this date with me may be all into it.
She's into the mustache?
No, not on any level.
So well, also I think this is important because people need to see you as not just an object of parts genius, but as a human being. What is this great event you've got coming in a couple of months? Because I'm pretty excited for you.
Celebrating 25 years of marriage.
Yeah, his 25 years married, and just because I think it's important to point out, married 25 years to the same woman.
Yes.
You know how many marriages that is for me? It's like 6 marriages. 25 years, my goodness.
The fact that she's put up with me that long is pretty amazing. I mean, it's been altogether, it'll be 30 years.
Yeah, all kidding aside, you guys are an inspiration. I'm really, really happy for you. I'm really excited for you
so
for the 25.
So I'm stoked about that. I think if I bring the stash back for the anniversary, there probably won't be another one.
I'm going to say don't you dare is like my instinct to this. But I'd also kind of like to see it play out. So
maybe I'll bring it back for maybe the summer months when we get back into some in-person stuff where I can be out in LA. I'll bring it back just in time for that.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for those days.
Do the office talk. All right,
yes.
Let's talk about number 5. Number 5 is MerryGoRound phones.
Okay.
It's the bouncy ball where it just gets bounced back from different corners.
Oh, that poor customer.
It's super frustrating from a customer standpoint. I know how frustrating it was when I was in the store and I would call into a department and wouldn't get an answer, let alone getting transferred to another one, to that one, to bouncing around to different place. Like, it's super, super frustrating and it's super inefficient.
Yeah. It's just so evil to do that to a customer at the end of the day. It's so terrible. Just remember what a minute on hold feels like. It's an eternity. So I think that's a big thing, and there's just no reason to do it.
What's funny about that is we had a store that I was at, and we were doing something else, and I was on the phone with a local place here near me trying to get some information, and I sat on hold for an extended length of time. And when the guys got back in the truck, I asked them, I said, how long do you think that I've been on hold? And they're like, oh, it's had to have been 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was 2 minutes and 17 seconds.
I like that you counted that. Did you have to wait in the truck?
Yes, we wait in the truck.
I figured.
That's another good song.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about that? I mean, what do you think about the bouncing around? Like, it's super frustrating, right?
I just have nothing but empathy for the customer, and I feel terrible. And I know that, like, there's a better way to do it at the end of the day. Like, if you get the ball, run with it. Do not try to do another handoff. Whatever it is, it lands on your lap, own it, and then finish it.
What's funny about that, though, is I think that parts managers out there are all willing to help and willing to go the extra mile. They are always the ones putting forth the extra effort. What happens is we don't allow our counter people and teach them the same thing, and so we allow them to be just whatever, and they're the ones transferring it to the wrong place or bouncing around from here to there. Most parts managers that I know would actually take the time to go walk to that department to find out the answer.
We know Randy ain't getting that call to the right place. There's no way.
If Randy can't get the right part, he certainly can't get the phone to the right place.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so recapping this bad boy list that we've got here. So the first sin is keeping Cant Get Right Randy on the counter. The second is having an open corner bar in the parts department. The third is encouraging clutter on the counter. Clutter on the counter, clutter on the counter. Say that 5 times really fast. The fourth is sloppy inventory or wrong part count. And then the fifth sin of parts managers is not stopping the merry-go-round for phones, where we bounce people from department to department or even front to the back or whatever it is. But we have to stop doing the merry-go-round because that is, in fact, a sin of parts managers. So good stuff today, Cliff. I actually really like that, and we'll look forward to seeing your mustache next time on Parts Hold.
Here to fill the order.